Good evening, and it is time for the regular Sunday night video. And I really want to thank everybody for listening to me last week, finally taking a look at the videos. You guys do not realize how much easier and more effective this makes life in teaching an online course. So I think I just want to say thank you. This is going to continue. As I said, this is a major means of communication for me, and this is how we're going to do things, okay, going forward. Let's do what I usually say we're going to do. I'm going to review a little bit of last week, tell you where we stand, and give you a preview of what's coming up this week and what some of the material is. And actually, I just added a few things, so that I think will make more sense of things for you. So it's been a little bit of a crazy week where I've done nothing but wrestle with my computer at all hours of the day or night. And I'm sure that happens to most of you, and believe me, when that does, you have my sympathy and my empathy for wrestling with those issues. Also, I've checked, and I don't think anybody is directly related to be, I shouldn't say related, directly going to be affected by the massive hurricane down in Florida. But just remember, in some of your other classes, you may even have an instructor who suddenly can't contact you for a few days. And of course, we just wish the best for those people who are affected. Hopefully, they've found a place to be safe. They will be safe, and the only thing that gets damaged is stuff and not people. And that's where our concern should be tonight. Okay, big week going on in sports. Tonight, as soon as I'm done with this, I hope to dash off and watch at least some of the Cowboys versus my beloved New York Giants and see where that goes. We had a big labor relations case in football this week when one of those issues that comes up in the personal conduct policy, the Zeke Elliott decision, some implications there. And frankly, what Unit 3 is all about is labor relations in sports, some economics issues in there. You have videos talking a little bit back a few years and then some very current ones, some articles I need you to read. But we're looking at the labor relations in sports. We're looking at how leagues work, how we learned a little bit last week, I think, about how teams make money. Now we're worried about how do leagues make money, how do leagues operate, how does the labor picture go back and forth. Had a very interesting discussion on campus this week about the relative value of football players versus basketball players and baseball players, and how are those salaries spread out. Really interesting topics, and I think you're going to see that once again the question of the week, the discussion question, seems rather simple on its surface, but when you really think about it and start talking with your classmates and yourselves and people outside of the class, it's not that easy at all. It's not that simple. So I'd really like us to make sure that we look into that. We're sticking with the NFL. We're sticking with that because the NFL just provides us with so much material that didn't mean to make this course about football, but right now we're using that as our vehicle. Speaking of football, wasn't happy with the result, but attended a college game this weekend at my old school. And sitting in the stadium, I was kind of struck with how the world of college football and pro football and other sports, how it's all changed. You know, at every timeout, every TV timeout, everything that's going on in the stadium, it's loud, it's glaring, there are promotions, there are contests, there are video boards, there's noise, there's little games with fans on the field. It's just so different than what I grew up with, and it seems like it really hammered home, probably because I'm teaching the course at this moment, how much the sport is the prime focus, but you almost wouldn't know it at times. It is the entertainment, it is the spectacle, it is the whole production around it. I spent time last weekend at the U.S. Open Tennis as a guest of the USTA, and wow, same thing there. Everything that's going on, it's not just, it seems that the sport itself, it's the entertainment value. You're competing for that piece of consumers' income that they choose to spend on being entertained. And they have so many ways of doing it and so many options for doing that, that sport has to compete, maybe just not on its own merits, but it has to compete in other ways too. And I think that's really fascinating. Last week there was some really healthy debate, and I tried to ask a few extra questions and actually didn't see the need to. You guys did, once again, a really great job of talking back and forth. Just like in week one, where I was actually only asking for something very simple, a listing of issues, and people discussed them. Well, here last week I was asking for a discussion, and when people did talk about whether teams should be maximizing profit, and how did they make their money, and what were the issues, I thought it was great, and I thought there were arguments on both sides of many issues, and that you folks did a wonderful job with that, and that's what will continue. So this week, look at question 3 just in the same spirit. Seems simple on the surface, but you have to dig deep and look at it. Now for some logistical matters this week too. This is the week I really start grading things, okay? Face it, back in week 1 when I asked for the 3 issues in that discussion board, you either did it or you didn't, pretty much. And a lot of people went above and beyond, and that will be rewarded, okay? But this week I will try to get the grades for these first 2 really substantive discussions that took place in week 2. My target is to have those fixed up and given to you with feedback by Wednesday night, so that at least you have the benefit of what I've had to say as you go forward and continue the discussion into the rest of the week. And as I said in the beginning, this is the place where most of the learning is going to take place in this course. It's from looking at the articles, reading them, watching the videos, analyzing them, looking at some of the presentations, and then let's talk about the issues and try to keep it on that high level plane. I think people did a pretty good job with that. It's often tough, as I've said, not to look at things from the point of view of a fan. I keep coming back to that. And, we all slip into that every once in a while, and I'll say that over and over again. But I think we did a pretty good job at keeping that level of discussion up here and not letting our fan biases kick in. The other logistical point is by midweek this week, maybe even by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow being Monday, I should have this idea for a synchronous live discussion figure out. My target is to try to hold it this week as the first one. If I may be so bold as to ask people to just shoot me a quick email on what your day preference is. Let me know, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Okay? Then I will try to get to you with what method we will use. I've been tempted to try to use, we now have Blackboard Collaborate. I'm told that's not that clean an application. We may be able to use Skype. We may be able to use GoToMeeting. We may be able to use WebEx. If you have a preference on one of those, please let me know. But if you could let me know your preference on the time early in the week, that would really help so we can get this going, because so many people were enthused about the idea. Remember, it's not going to be mandatory. You're going to have a way of, this is just a way of participating in the discussion on a little bit more of a live basis, and I think maybe we can have a little bit of fun with it, but we can also do some really good things with it. And of course, if you don't participate in the broadcast, so to speak, the written forum, the traditional discussion board forum, will always be open to you. So we're being a little experimental here. That experiment seems to have been received warmly, so we're going to go ahead and try it. All right, so this week, legal issues, antitrust issues, labor relations issues. Last week was a little bit more about team profitability. This is more about league. These are the kind of things that face us. These are the things that really, really go on and almost dictate what the product we see on the field looks like. That's why I want to concentrate on it. All right, so keep that perspective in mind. And, of course, if there are any questions, please contact me. And I look forward to talking to you later. Thank you.